Voilà, donc ce tableau effectivement date de la période parisienne de Vincent van Gogh lorsqu'il est arrivé chez son frère Théo en 1886. Il est habité rue Le Pic, donc tout près du moulin à poivre qui est ici représenté dans son œuvre en 1887. C'est un tableau qui est une réelle redécouverte, qui n'est jamais paru sur le marché depuis plus d'un siècle, date à laquelle il a été acquis par la famille qui en est encore qui est propriétaire aujourd'hui. C'est un moment où Van Gogh s'est ouvert un peu, a introduit la lumière dans son œuvre, donc c'est une œuvre assez majeure dans sa peinture. C'est aussi une œuvre importante car il en existe très très peu en main privée. Voilà, donc aujourd'hui nous sommes vraiment heureux de le présenter car il est assez rare de trouver des tableaux de Van Gogh sur le marché. Et ils sont essentiellement, surtout de cette période, la plupart sont dans les musées aujourd'hui.
It's a rediscovery. It hasn't been seen for more than 100 years. And it's an important painting in the oeuvre of Vincent van Gogh because it dates from the period in which he's living in Paris with his brother Theo at 54 Rue Le Pic, to be precise, which is just a little bit below the hill from where you see this windmill, which is in fact on the top of Montmartre. It's an interesting painting. You see a windmill, so at first sight you think, oh, maybe it's from the Dutch period. But then, after looking at it more carefully, you realize that it's different. Oh, it's Montmartre. It's in fact Paris. It shows this transition from the Dutch painter that he was, or the Dutch phase they call it, to the Van Gogh that we know, to the Van Gogh where color appears into the paintings. In 1887 he paints this. In early 1888, so just approximately a year after he finishes this painting, is when he leaves for Arles. And so in Paris he discovers light. In Arles he discovers the sun. All of a sudden it's the complete explosion of light that he's so famous for. But all this begins in Paris when he's frequenting the avant-garde, his artist friends, and bathing in this sort of incredible dynamic context that marked Paris, capital of the 19th century. One of the biggest, I think one of the greatest lessons he learns at this period is the use of color. Suddenly, before this, in 1886, and when he's in Belgium and Holland, his paintings are much darker, closer to the school of Barbizon, more realistic. In Paris, he discovers color. In 1887, in this painting, color sort of all over, it blows up into the painting, and he uses very pure pigments. You can see that the colors have been very well preserved because Van Gogh used extremely high quality pigments. What's interesting is you're seeing the enclosure of the Moulin de la Galette. The figures, the couple and the children, are walking along l'Impasse des Deux Frères. And so l'Impasse des Deux Frères still exists. It's within now, which is a private property, inside the Moulin de la Galette. The Moulin de la Galette itself is on the left of the painting. You don't see it. The one you see is the pepper mill, or le Moulin au Poivre, which was destroyed in 1911 when they built the Avenue Junot, which is now behind the scene we're looking at. The estimate we put is reasonable, which is 5 to 8 million euros. Reasonable is a relative term, of course, because it's millions of euros, but for Van Gogh, it's reasonable. We sold at Sotheby's in 2019 a much smaller vertical picture of a couple strolling in a park in Paris, and it made $10 million. So that's just to give you a sense of scale. And on the Parisian market, we just simply haven't seen a work like this, at least in my personal memory, and as I checked the records, for practically decades, I could be safe to say.